I do want to be provocative, so I will be. My exposure is, you heard I've done some teaching. I've taught at the Woodrow Wilson School, so I've had public policy kids there. I've taught at the Kennedy School of Government, so I've seen a wide variety of students from other institutions, state, and I've taught undergraduates at Princeton and freshmen writing at Harvard. So I've had. Now, what do I see from these kids? Here's what I don't see. I don't see kids who are interested in history. I really don't. I also do not see kids who know anything about history. It is amazing, the gaps in their knowledge. This is not just me. It is standard issue commentary amongst faculty at these colleges. God, these kids don't know anything about history, and everybody tells war stories about how little they know. More troubling, they don't know the history of what makes this country special, but also qualities that make democracy and freedom special around the world. They have very little grasp of the significance of the rule of law, what it meant, as John Adams says, to have a government of laws and not of men. They don't get the essence of that. I have a lot of time. I almost teach it remedially because it's something that they're vaguely aware of, but it's often elusive to them. What I do see is a great deal of cynicism or indifference about what they perceive their high school history educations as being, which is largely the history of victimization. Now these kids, remember, I'm teaching at liberal schools. These are liberal kids. These are, I'm not talking about conservative kids. Liberal kids who are quite cynical about the history of the downtrodden and the dispossessed that they get in high school, and quite indifferent to it. To me, a shocking degree. My grandfather was Norman Thomas, so I grew up with tales of the importance of those histories, and I don't question the importance of. I understand where historical scholarship has gone for the last half century. You know, and it was right. Great man theories of history were rightly discredited. It was important to do this history of how the other half lived. I get all that. When I was studying modern European history at Harvard 35 years ago, they made me read Thompson's History of the English Working Class. I loved it. It was worthwhile. I don't question the scholarship. But something has been lost along the way, just in terms of what I see from my students and my own children. My daughter Mary is a great case in point. My second daughter. She went to a fancy private school here, Potomac School. Got an A in history. She got an 800 on her American history SAT. She got a 5 on the AP. She got an A on every course she took at Harvard in history. She doesn't know a goddamn thing about history. She is ahistorical. I tease her about it all the time. Now she's starting to learn. She graduated last year, and she's starting to read on her own, and she'll get. I'm not really worried. She'll get it. But it's astonishing to me how little she knows. I'll tell you one sort of jaundiced but true story. I was teasing her, and I said, "Hey Mary," this is after she took AP U.S. History. I said, "Who's General Patton?" And she said, "I know who he was. He was the commander of the first black tank commander in World War II." She said it without an irony. She wasn't making a joke. She wasn't teasing me back. It was a literal rendition. She has a very good short-term memory, which is why she got the 800 on the SAT. And so she remembered it, but it had no significance other than that. She wasn't making fun. She just was stating a fact that she had learned. And I think it's a useful fact to know. But it doesn't bother me so much what they're studying. It's the lack of joyfulness that I sense. It's the lack of joy and interest and curiosity. And the counter indicators, every once in a while, a kid will start reading military history or something. They'll start reading history typically of a dead white male, and they'll get excited. They'll read Joseph Ellis, or they'll read McCullough, and oh my God, there was a Constitution. There was a big meeting in Philadelphia, and these amazing guys were there. And yes, they were flawed, and had slaves, and they were weak amazing times, and they were really the most amazing people, and I'm just sort of discovering this for the first time. I see this in my own kids and in others. And now, look, I'm exaggerating for effect here, but only slightly. I'm telling you pretty honestly, what I see from my Harvard and Princeton students. And so really, this is less a speech to you than a question. What is going on here? Why is that? I really like to get a conversation going on, and obviously feel free to argue. I said at the beginning, I'm not the expert here, you are. If you think I'm seeing a truly warped picture, say so. But I just can't help but think these kids are not somehow being engaged in stories that are meaningful to them, exciting to them, and teach them something that the essential facts that you have to be a good citizen, which is why it matters that we have individual rights and equal protection under the law, and why the Constitution really is not just a dusty document, but something, a living, crucial, vital, essential document that we, as the years go by, could be at risk of losing, especially if our people don't really understand how it came to be and what it's about.